Hello, hello, everybody. Here we are again, coming to you from Broadcast Team Alpha on 44 different platforms around the world. And we're going to have some fun again, especially for those of you that is with us right now, watching or listening. And you're not afraid of sticking your foot out of the box and find out what else is there out there that I have not been told. And we're going to hear some of that tonight. And yeah, my name is Agi, and I'm the host here tonight. My co-host Nori cannot be here, but she will be with us very shortly. And then again, we are also transmitting on a wonderful platform of the Conscious Awakening Network. You got to go visit those guys because they have close to 50 different shows on there that covers a lot of areas that you and me and everybody else needs to know about. So go check them out at consciousawakeningnetwork.org and also on YouTube with the same name, Conscious Awakening Network. And before I introduce the guest, I want to tell you also how you can connect with us. Go to Broadcast Team Alpha's website. That is broadcastteamalpha.com. And send us a message and we'll get the email and we'll get back to you and we can help you out with whatever you are looking for, hopefully. And also, if you are watching us on YouTube right now, that's the place to be because that's the only place we are able to monitor the chat room. And since I'm here and Nori is not here, so Mac's going to help out a little bit with that. So you'll probably hear from him in the chat room also. And I got to say that we have a very exclusive guest with us tonight. I want to say just a few words about her because we have Laura Eisenhower returning to Broadcast Team Alpha. And she needs no introduction, but you know, I got to do it anyway for the two of you out there that don't know her yet. And she is everywhere. She is on shows and conferences, and we have become good friends over the last few years. And she's also a great. I think there's two great granddaughter of President Eisenhower, but more so, she has also studied what we are going to talk about, the universe and what's going on in the raising of consciousness. And her insights are full of pearls. So watch for that. They are all over it. And they will probably be widening your scope of your narrative a little bit by the time you are done. And with that, welcome to the show, Laura. Oh, you're muted.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for having me out. Good to be here. Yeah, it's one great.
Yeah, okay, one great. Okay, that's good. You know, you write about so much and you talk about so many different subjects. I don't think there's anything that you could not talk intelligently on. So I don't even know where to start. But there's one question that I have kind of pondered on, if maybe you can expand. And that is, what is it that most people need to know today as the raising of consciousness unfolds? What do they need to know more than anything?
Well, I don't think it's something that we have to solve or get in our heads about. I think that we get so yanked into everything that's going on in the world, the elections and just everything on the world stage. And not to say that's not important, but no, there's a shift happening that's on an organic level. The planetary system has been repairing itself and healing itself, and taking us into this window of ascension and awakening, right? So how can we best experience that? Well, it's really important to just tune in and just feel into it all. When we get yanked into what's going on, outside of us, it's kind of taking our creative imagination and our manifestation powers, and it's sort of using that and leveraging that to create what it wants. So we have to determine within ourselves, what do we want, and be a lot more strong in our ability to, navigate this without falling prey to a
Yeah.
script that we don't have to invest ourselves in. I mean,
Mm.
especially with the astrological alignments coming up. We got Saturn conjunct Neptune, and it's really where everything is possible. The creative imagination is available. How much are we willing to work with that without getting stuck in belief systems or limitations that would influence us to consent to a reality we don't want to see? So there's a lot of busting down the frequency fences, gatekeepers, whatever you want to call it, all the different limitations that really represent the dark Saturn of the inverted matrix of outer authority and leadership in the world, trying to fix everything and solve everything for us. I feel what's important is that we're developing greater discernment and strengthen ourselves to just gain
Well,
self-mastery. We're here for soul and spiritual development.
yeah. I know one place where people could have some help on that, and that you just got a brand new book out. And I looked at some of the subjects that you write about in there. I tell you, there are definitely pearls in there. And I imagine that is on Amazon. Is it also on your website, cosmicgaia.org?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, and I have
Okay.
some available to, send a signed copy, and it's my book, Awakening the Truth Frequency. Yeah.
And, the raising of consciousness now, I wonder about something, and I have an opinion, and you know what they say about opinions. But here, the raising of consciousness on the side of the positive is happening very quickly. But what about the other side, the dark side? Is it raising there, or is it going the other way? Because the split seems to be bigger and bigger.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, when we look at like the artificial, the engineered versus what's organic. I mean, the planetary body is got a consciousness. It's a body like our physical body. We're elemental beings, and we have intent. We have visions. In this world that we're in, this planetary consciousness has been very wounded because of exploded planets and cataclysms and all sorts of events that have taken place in our human history, that we've been on this journey to repair and heal. And a lot of those traumas and a lot of the things that we're working on healing get very hijacked in the world that we're in, with a lot of movements or solutions that further enslave us. And so there's a lot of trickery and deception. So the split really has to do with, are you, going to look outside of yourself for the solution? Are you going to determine what your reality is based in what you see in the news? Or are you feeling into the challenges that are confronting us and finding more of all that you are? Like, in the face of all these challenges, we're being asked to switch on what's been dormant and activate, these aspects of ourselves that have been, very shut down. So all the astrological events and the planetary intelligence and the way that this planetary system is repairing itself and healing is encoded in nature to know exactly what to do, and
Yeah.
we're in a time where there's so much light and awakening happening. But if we're distracted away from that and we're pulled into these storylines or narratives that kind of give us an artificial version, then we're giving our power and attention away to something that is like parasitic. So, and that's what it really comes down to. What are we choosing? Are we in a dependency bond with something? Are we in reliance? Or are we self-sufficient, and are we finding our sovereignty? And are we like capable of working with the things that come up that are uncomfortable and guiding it towards wholeness and unity and rehabilitation and cooperation,
Yeah.
versus divide and conquer, or you got to follow this, or answer to that, or I mean, it's almost very basic, but it's complicated. Like, people are having a real hard time because of how used to the system everybody is, and how targeted every aspect of our society, it's just like so I think the big theme is recognizing what needs to be healed and not running away from it.
Yeah.
And we're in a really good position. A lot has, and this is what my book really gets into, what is the trajectory of the human race, the artificial versus the organic?
Yeah.
What's on our side? It's us, we want to recognize and wake up to. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. But
Yeah, I understand very well. Uh, Take us on a little bit of a journey through your book so people can get an idea of what they will find in there. Because when I saw the subjects, then I found those pearls in there. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
yeah, well, it's very interesting, just the agreement that I had with Eisenhower before coming into this family. And there's a lot of information that I came across synchronistically that I present in this book. So I take you through just my childhood and just the realization of that. And yeah, working with remote viewers and working with, healers and just people that have come out of the woodworks along the way, whistleblowers, and just the enormity of information that I've come across. Yeah, it's just, it's been very interesting. And I've kind of compiled all the connecting dots in this book. So when I was born, I really felt, a strong mission. And from what I've come to understand is, in Eisenhower's administration, I was part of the team that helped advise him and warn him about the Greys and the military industrial complex and the Dracos and the dark negative alien agenda. And so he worked with Val 4 and petitioned to the Guardians to assist, planet Earth in breaking free from, these controllers. And part of that agreement was to have somebody come into the family to help expose a lot of what he was warning us about, which apparently I was a part of a team that helped to advise him about. But a whole team of us would come in and incarnate in this time to join together and unify and uncover all this lost galactic history. And so for me, I've really been looking at a lot of the false narratives that I didn't know were false when I came across them, like Eisenhower signed a treaty with the Greys. So I explored that subject and exposed what I could, but then I found out more that he actually didn't sign those treaties. And an unconditional surrender agreement took place under, Truman. So I know I got to be careful of what I share, and I'll kind of keep it, kind of
Yeah.
basic. But that what we've been, dealing with, and the warnings that we've gotten, especially in that final speech, and what he was able to set up in terms of creating, positive military forces, Earth Alliance, Ike's Force, and the White Hats, along with a lot of us incarnating, a lot of starseed missions, and a lot of people that are waking up to like their true calling, and the guardian presence, is that, we are repairing ourselves, the planetary system, the planetary grid network, our DNA. And we're in a period right now where there's a alteration in the zodiac because the sun started to move through the 13th sign of Fiacus, and this ether element that it was put in reversals is now circulating in a way that allows us more ability to transmute and alchemize and de-weaponize, the dark weapons, bioweapons, mind control, all the indoctrination, all the things that we've been carrying around with us and passing along, generation to generation. It's all beginning to break down and dissolve. And the more we can understand this and the more we can hold space for this, the easier it's going to be. The more we get triggered, though, and look outside of ourselves and get caught in the net, or the, just the hijacked attempts to take that trigger or that wound and direct it towards this or that creates more divide and conquer. Well, we're kind of missing the mark. It's very much about, healing the divine template from the tree of knowledge to the tree of life, from the duality of, good and evil,
Yeah,
the ancient
that's what
and little
people,
kind of Anunnaki manipulations and slave race, into like really, recognizing the bigger picture.
yeah, that's
And
what we're calling it. But do you think maybe also, maybe like I do, that a lot of the confusion out there about people that is don't really know what's going on, it can be rooted in something that they really don't know who they are. If they really knew that they were a spiritual being having a physical experience, they may have to look, they would be more apt to look behind the curtain. What is there that I cannot see?
mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's the challenge right now, is that that's what we're being called to do. And
Yeah,
being soul-centered is most important. So all sorts of, trigger events are constantly going to like be taking place, and we have a choice as far as what we're going to do with it. Um, it's just important to recognize we are discovering ourselves again. And this is why I call the book Awakening the Truth Frequency. It's not about my truth. It's what is your truth? It's a
yeah,
frequency. When you're true to yourself, you're going to be able to see through the distortions and deceptions. There's a lot of overlays on disclosure and ascension, and activated MK Ultra people that are coming online right now that are trying to sabotage, this process. And it's very difficult for people to know what is real and what isn't. And with this
yeah,
strong Neptune influence, especially coming into alignment with Saturn, which it has been, but now moving into Aries, it's like it's either like the divine human and the awakening to the fullness of all that we can be, having access to more abilities than we've ever had, or that Neptune energy is lost in the illusions, and all that energy is being siphoned into something artificial because of what we see being played out, that we've formed too much of an attachment or a belief system to. And so there's a lot of different tactics to hijack our capacity to step into something very, profound. So every challenge is going to give you an opportunity to rediscover yourself. And the question is, are you going to take up that challenge and get to know yourself more, or you're going to give that power away. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds so simple, and I know it's like maybe not saying anything that people don't already know, but like it's funny that you can find yourself caught up in a loop that you have to pull
Yeah.
yourself out. And so there's very interesting information in my book connected to what's happening on a cosmic and earthly level with the Venus transits, with like the corrections that have taken place, why this is considered an ascension window period, what really took place after the Second World War, but all these different, possibilities to ponder with, me kind of leaning towards something that resonates with me, asking the reader, though, to determine within yourself what you think and what you decide, because there's no narrative here. There's no agenda. It's really about, if we're advancing our human vessel, it's like tuning into our higher mind and our intuition and strengthening that, is the most important thing. So that's kind of the intention of the book, is that people will feel, like, wow, when anger erupts or emotions erupt or, thoughts come through, that you give it the respect and attention that it deserves, that you write it down, that you process through it, that you release it, and you get to know it instead of medicate it, instead of, diagnose it with like some sort of ailment. It's like, there's nothing wrong with you. There's something right with you. Why don't you listen to what your body's trying to tell you and what is manifesting in your world? Like, what is it revealing? That's actually good news, instead of, you got this wrong and that's wrong and you got to take this to make it go away. It's like, no, we don't want to make it go away. We want to feel it to heal it. We want to like really get to know ourselves and all that life is showing us on an organic level to begin to unlock these dormant abilities again.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to listen to ourselves. And you mentioned thoughts here come into our head. And the thing about it that I've discovered is that we are never alone, and there may be unseen influences standing next to us, and they are very telepathic and capable of placing thoughts into our mind, like, there's a concept for you if you do something with it. And we need to learn how to recognize those thoughts that does not seem to be our own, maybe a little outside of our the way we do things. When those thoughts come in, we need to look at them instead of just let them pass through the head and gone, because there may be things in there that can be very good for us. Not our own thoughts, but placed there by an unseen influence. Call it angelic, call it guides, or whatever you like. What do you think about that?
Yes. Well, we have guidance. We have guidance. We have guides. We want to create the space to be able to, really listen and not just get consumed with, what the outer noise is all about. It not to say, don't check in with it, but, find, your center, so that when you navigate, you're coming from a place of strength and empowerment, and finding resonance and synchronicities that support the visions and dreams and things that you want to manifest and create. And when you hold that vision, when you hold that intent, where's that guidance helping you to know where to, turn, and what decisions to make, where to move, and, what life changes you might want to make. It's just, incredibly important. Without having that, it's just like when you lose that center, then all of a sudden the AI signals come in, and it's just like whatever's coming through the devices, whatever's coming through like the 5G, whatever's coming through, the trajectory of globalism or like new world order, that a lot of people are consenting to. So this bifurcation is definitely like a, frequency. There's a contrast, between those who, know why they're here and are standing strong in their calling and intent and visions of what they want to manifest in the world, and that higher guidance to see it through, versus all these tactics being used to derail a person. And it's just really obvious. And, I really think the bifurcation started 2019, 2020, the whole, that was really, the deciding factor. But it wasn't down to like the decisions people made, like if you got this or you did that or you voted for this person or that person. It's the process that people have been in. Where has that taken you? What did that trigger in you? Did it get you further and further away from love, from connections? Did it polarize you? Did you start to adopt labels and like feel the need to defend something outside of yourself? That's a bit of a trap. Did it scare you? Did it ignite something where, you started to see through the facades, the psyops, the indoctrination, and the social engineering games? That's the most important thing, is the realization and the breaking down of the mind control. Once you do that, the body's going to respond. So even if you made decisions that aligned with it, the minute you have a breakthrough, I feel there's nothing that we can't overcome and heal. It's just that breakthrough needs to happen. And as the planetary alignments and the eclipses and just the nodal shifts and everything that's happening on an astrological level are giving us these opportunities to go through these incredible growth periods, there's always going to be something that yanks us into a whole nother scenario that uses our energy and our creative imagination to produce something that is not necessarily going to bring about a desirable future. And that's where the split is happening. And I feel like there's a connecting point between, the split and just a lot of, individuals are, really, stepping it up and being pushed to the edge in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all going to turn around.
I know too that whenever we get triggered, there is a reason. That reason may not be what we think it is, but there is a reason that we should contemplate. Why did that trigger me? Why did that happen? Why am I so upset over a small thing like this? We need to think about why. But if we find the source of things, then it's easier to understand than just look at the symptom of it. That could be all kinds of things underneath of it. I don't think the Western society is taught how to do that.
Not at all. Nope. So just a total restructuring of everything. And it's so wonderful to work with clients and people that are really called to just start fresh, build new, pull your kids out. This is the way we're going to do it. Because, all this gender confusion, it's like they knew an awakening was going to happen, that we would be deprogramming from the generations before, where, whatever we thought or whatever they were trying to push on people and influence people to think and believe this is what it means to be a man or a woman, or this is what you should seek to achieve to be successful, whatever the social engineering propaganda was in the generations before. It's like they knew an awakening would happen. And so they've captured it into, this, oh, well, this is really progressive, this gender confusion, transgender, climate change stuff. And it's like this false sort of awakening. And it's captured that sort of like deprogramming from the generation before of, well, you're in a female body, but you feel masculine, or in a masculine body, but feel feminine. Well, that doesn't look like, the alpha male or the Barbie, or whatever was the generation before. And so they captured it into, oh, well, maybe be confused about it and alter your physical body instead of embrace the fact that, we have a connection with both the inner masculine and feminine, and just to allow the person to just develop on a soul level without being bombarded, by all this stuff from outside. And the way we handle any kind of adversity or struggle or challenge, with these, false solutions. It's like we either get closer to ourselves and closer to the earth, or more invested in just what's outside of us. And, it's like a breakup. To me, bifurcation is like a divorce. Like we're breaking up with an old paradigm, inverted system, that is a false parent, false partner that we're literally divorcing ourselves from so that we can really experience true love with creation, true love with ourselves, and have the most authentic experience, because that partner and that system pretended it loved us and it was looking out for us, but it actually didn't. And it's just been tricking us and deceiving us, being with narcissistic tendencies or abusive tactics or manipulative ways to target, one's self-worth and self-esteem through grooming generation after generation, really starting, with Project Mockingbird and Paperclip and everything. This is where the war has steered towards, the war on consciousness, the war on our minds, and and to, keep us from coming together. And it's even hitting, our community, and people are falling prey to it. And it's just like, there's so much to wake up to and deprogram from and embrace. And the beauty of the pain and the wounds is like, it's going to bring you wisdom. It's going to bring you back to yourself. It's going to give you your calling and mission, because your pain is your purpose. Like, what is hurting? What is your wounds? That's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something for somebody else to fix and solve. Maybe somebody to help guide you into your own sense of self-discovery and awareness about where it stemmed from. But once you take that upon yourself to tackle it and get to know it, that becomes your mission. And then you rise above, and then you help guide others. And that is really what the North Node and Aries and Chiron and Aries is all about, as the growth period for humanity. How are we going to handle the wounded identity, the wounded ego? Are we going to be warriors for healing and truth? Or are we going to be angry, competitive, and seek to hurt others and further, complicate things, and just act out these wounds in an unconscious way? Now we're going to move into the North Node Pisces with the South Node Virgo. It's going to be a lot about body, mind, spirit communication. What is our bodies trying to tell us? What has been installed in our body that has frequency modulations and distortions that are keeping us addicted, to this matrix, like because of these psyops and false flags that create, a fear response. When are you ready to break that connection? That's the bifurcation. When you're ready to break up with that false parent, you're going to find your divine parent. You're going to find that divine blueprint. You're going to begin to blossom. You're going to begin to move through the gatekeepers. You're going to begin to leverage these adversities and challenges and take dis-ease and turn it around and transform into the fullness and potential that you came here to be. But all this hijacking is just taking advantage of what we don't remember, and just all the historical traumas and all the lifetimes that we had. It's just of grooming us into, consenting to a reality that requires us for it to even exist. So when people talk about the powers that be, it's the powers that stole our power and our creativity to generate an artificial version that we don't have to play into. So it's time to break up with it. And that bifurcation to me is like literally divorcing ourselves from an inverted matrix that will split off into some sort of, other realm. And that other realm really separates people from their soul. And that's why we see species become bioengineered into a form where they can't reproduce, they can't, so, and this has happened time and time again with like, the ramifications of AI. So, we gotta face the pain and walk through it and come out the other end wiser and stronger.
And doing a lot of that can be difficult unless we have a little bit of higher knowledge, at least to know how and why we want to do it. And I think that your book speaks to that. So, and for those of you that joined us late, we are talking with Laura Eisenhower. We're talking about her new book out, and also show us the book so that people can see what it looks like. There you go.
Yeah.
What was the title again?
Awakening the Truth Frequency. So I go in a lot about, the mother energy, galactic history, bifurcation of timelines, a lot about the astrology going on, and all the information that I found out along the way about Eisenhower, his relationship with Balfour, his connection with Valthor and how that relates to the
Yeah.
Guardian and the White Hats and the Earth Alliance and the
Yeah.
Divine Blueprint. When I say global alchemist, it's like this alchemy that's happening, this zodiac alteration. We're going from like the Saturn moon matrix lunar zodiac into like this whole other world where all that is dissolving away. The mind control, the imbalance of the masculine and feminine, the duality, right? So we are the conduits of this shift and this change and this healing process. But right now we're at the really heightened state of, the ouch, like this is really uncomfortable, or like this is really heavy and this is really dense. But we're on the verge of just such a massive breakthrough. And it's really, I think people are noticing how easy it is for people to fall prey to all these different tactics that, sideline or hijack or knock a person off their center to the point where, they're just going into the lower realm of attack or divide and conquer, or unwillingness to, find the humility or the ability to just have them more mature conversations and debates, and it's just, this is what is required, going through this kind of like a breakup to embrace who we truly are and what we're made of, and the true relationship with creation is a process with each other.
Yeah.
Forgiveness, compassion, and accountability. And not
Yeah.
running away, not allowing, division and ego to override or
Yeah.
overtake.
And a while back, I saw an interview by one of the was an Amish farmer. Well, I guess it's about a year ago or so. I saw this now, and he was asked, "How come you don't have any of that word we're not supposed to say? That people got because of this thing they put in their arm and stuff. Uh, how come you don't? Are not plagued by that?" And he says, "Simple.
You haven't
We
watched
don't
the
have
news.
we don't have TVs."
Yep. And that's it.
And yeah, that if you look at that TV, the garbage that we're fed through there, I mean, well, I'm losing words. I can't even explain it.
Yeah.
I watch TV. Yeah, I got the big screen on the wall, but I watch YouTube and good stuff that I select for myself.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, it's just like, what are you going to allow into your being? Are your creative channels going to be infected by what you hear and are you forming an attachment to it where there's an exchange of energy, where you're in relationship to it, where you're a part of it just becoming real, right? So Saturn with Neptune, it's like anchoring heaven on earth. What does that even mean? The possibility of like bliss and happiness and joy and a beautiful future. Well, we can manifest it and create it, but if we're constantly being infected by signals and news stories and influences and that capture us, then that vital energy is being lost
Yeah,
to something else, and then and it becomes real, and Saturn will anchor it and make it a reality. But what makes it false is that it was a suggestion, it was a condition, it was a mechanism that was installed in you that you agreed to and consented to. It wasn't coming from your divine mind, it wasn't coming from your connection with source, it wasn't coming from your visions and dreams. So none of that needs to be hijacked. There's no trajectory where it's like, oh yeah, you might have your dreams and visions, but sorry, this world event happened, this event happened where you all have to do this and do that and comply to this and that. So whatever dreams this is where we have to be strong and stand up and say, no, that is not a reality. Yes, it exists and it's a reality, but it's engineered. It's engineered by architects that are playing on our fears and our amnesia and using the creative energy that we hold that they don't have to generate something that supplies them and limits us. So once we break through of all that, there's nothing but a beautiful future to embrace. And my
Mm.
book really goes into the depths of this whole process, the history on a galactic level, and particularly, about, Eisenhower, and a lot about my mission and being recruited to go off planet. They didn't want me here. And the struggle of all the targeting, and sometimes I'm not always best in the interview. So if I'm not articulating well today, it's just like I'm usually recovering from some sort of attack. And sometimes it's hard to find the words, but yeah, it's like you can't stop truth though. And it's just like
Yeah.
I feel rock solid. It's like nothing can really bring me down, because I just know, that this is something that we all have, and it's time to like embrace it and celebrate, and be willing to just heal and love each other and forgive each other, because there's been a lot stacked against us, and there's a lot that's trying to hijack our ability to just be a beautiful community.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more we read, the wiser we get. There's something to this saying that readers are leaders. It doesn't say the one that watches YouTube video as a leader. Well, I help a little bit, but the readers, there's something happens when you read something. It goes into a different part of the brain than watching a video or listening to someone. And there's something about that reading that changes character more so than anything else. I've
Yes.
noticed that.
Yeah. And to just allow it to just sit with you, and like, what is your intuition telling you? What is it activating in you? What is it reminding you of? What is it bringing out? It's just like we're all, every single one of us has an incredible purpose
Yeah.
and calling and expression. And the more we come together and recognize that every single one of us, you know, is a huge part of this
Oh, there you
awakening,
said,
there'll be less of this kind of like following, or like this person has all the answers. It's like, you just step up to yourself, and then let's harmonize. Like, that's why we all have a unique zodiac chart. We all have different qualities and patternings and elemental energies that we have an affinity with, or that we're called to work with. And to rebuild the 12 strand and beyond DNA is to, work together and assist each other in switching on what's been dormant. And there's too much of like kind of sitting back and other people doing it. And even Eisenhower said this. It's not about one leader. You can't just look to just a president. You can't just look to outside of yourself. And I think this is a redundant thing that time and time again, it's like, why are we being so betrayed? Why does everything just end up not being what you thought? Well, maybe because the life lesson is to learn to fall back on yourself and discover what is needing to come through you. What are you angry at and depressed about is maybe a calling to you to be the one that takes the stand and does something, to take action, or find like-minded people and others that are doing it as well. We don't want to suppress those things. And that's what the medical industry has done. Medicate it, put it on pharmaceuticals, silence it, And so, yeah, this book is really deep dive into like really, bringing that unconditional love into your being, so that any kind of pain, disease, anger, low vibrational energy, depression, just that you are, getting in touch with it, giving it a voice so that it can really be cleared and purified, and reveal to you why you are here and why you came, not just to follow what the expectations of the outer world, your parents, society, or anybody else, wants you to do. What do you feel,
yeah. And then I've noticed that on a lot of our shows, there's questions afterwards, and especially in the mastermind group that Nori and I created, people ask, how do I find my real purpose here? And like you said, there is a reason why we come here. How would you go about finding your real purpose here?
well, you
Now,
picked your
that's,
parents.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, well, you mean you picked your parents, there's an agreement there, and like what was your journey all about? What have been the hardships? What have been the traumas? What are the ancestral patternings? Are you going to succumb to those things? Are you going to be defined by those things? Are you going to lose yourself to those things? Or are you going to like see that as the challenge and purpose that you came in to overcome and rise above? Uh, and there are some individuals that if they are being true to themselves, they're fractured and they're dangerous and they're not okay and they need real assistance and help, no doubt. Okay, so that's a little bit different, but
Yeah.
um, there's a lot of mechanisms and alien technology and tactics being used to create a criminal mind or a very dysfunctional person, and family units have been targeted and relationships just it's just been
Yeah.
difficult generation after generation. So what is your purpose is to come in and be mindful and conscious and observant and recognize you have choice. You have choice to not go down that road, um to not repeat those patterns, to grow from your mistakes, to evolve, to really develop your spirituality, become a person of integrity, of wisdom, of love, of truth, and with that, comes facing aspects of yourself that you might not like, but also aspects of yourself that you might have denied, that other people might have shut down because they weren't ready for it, like your gifts and
Yeah.
abilities, you know? So really hold space for yourself, give yourself the time and, and space that you need to understand what is emerging, especially when it's really, really difficult. That is the time that we need to love ourselves the most. When we're angry, when we're sad, when we're depressed, when we're hopeless. Like, why? Ask yourself why. Have a dialogue with yourself, bring it out. And that's where I see a lot of people blossoming into their purpose, and they become advocates, or they, open a teen center or animal rescue, or, you know, they become herbalists, they become Reiki masters. It's like whatever worked for you in your healing process, you end up sharing with others. It might be writing a book, it might be being a painter. And so, knowing the astro chart helps, but, just most important, just tune in, don't deny, don't judge these parts of yourself,
Yeah.
And this is the thing, the inverted system matrix and the false gods are all about reward and punishment. What about unconditional love? What about forgiveness and compassion? What about giving that to yourself so that you can begin to, um, bring to the surface so much that wants your attention? Then you might notice the pain goes away, that your body starts to repair, that it starts to feel safe and it starts to feel more grounded, So whatever's like feeling wrong, you're on the verge of something feeling right. So give it the time and love and respect it deserves. You know, put your hand in the places that are like in pain, the organs, just parts of your body that are just like, and just feel into it, get to know it,
Yeah.
find people that can help you to discover the hidden treasures that are within, release the blockages. It's just like we're in a powerful, powerful human vessel that wants us to know how to operate it, not be in fear of it and have somebody else decide for us and tell us how to navigate and what to put in, you know, and yes, there will be people that might give good advice in regards to that, but not the medical industry. When we look at all the power structures that we were born into, that's all crumbling. This is all crumbling. Now it's all about being holistic and having, the nurturing support of,
Yeah.
plant medicines and herbs and sound healing, and working with more advanced healing tools and modalities, and not being afraid of these things when they come up, realizing like you're on the verge of a breakthrough. You're on a verge of
Yeah.
greater self-discovery, instead of the panic of the doctor needs to solve this. And okay, great for emergencies, yes, but just don't be afraid of yourself. You came here to discover, you know, that when something's wrong, you're on the verge of discovering that something's actually right, because you're gonna like find yourself again. And this is what I did as a kid. I didn't go to doctors. Like if something was wrong, I would go on a journey and I would just talk to it. And I would be taken into past lives. I would be taken into, different parts of myself that had been shut down or that were afraid or that were blocked. And I just couldn't believe how easy it was to actually like heal some of this stuff. It doesn't mean it's always easy. And I've had more challenging healing experiences with myself, but you know, and when I was out in the wilderness for years at a time, and I write about this in my book, it's just like, wow, we're constantly being communicated with. Creator is
Mm.
constantly showing up for us and guiding
Yep.
us. Every time we're injured, our body knows how to heal. Every time something happens in our life, something will happen on a synchronistic level to upgrade us and take us to the next level. Where are we being hijacked into constantly, downgrading into something inverted that causes us failure or sickness that lasts for years and years and years, and suffering? Is that really necessary? Our purpose is to break all that programming and to break the bonds with anything that is leveraging that and taking advantage of that and making a lot of money off of it, so that we can, reconnect and rediscover this beautiful relationship we have with creation and ourselves. So that is the bifurcation to me: breaking up with the false inverted system and embracing true love. That's divine union, alchemical marriage, hierogamic union, the path
Yeah.
of finding your twin flame, which is going to start from within.
Yeah, and we also got to remember that we are not only here for ourselves. There's other people in our life, and a big part of what we are, or maybe even our purpose, is not for ourselves, but for help other people, to help them grow into something that was more elevated than what it was before.
And that's what happens when you do that for you. It's like you automatically activate that in others. You naturally want to be in service to others.
Yeah,
It's like if you got yourself out of a burning house and were able to find safety, and you see others struggling, you're going to pull as many out as you possibly can. Or you're just going to live by example and just, thrive and be a resource for others, and but not push it on, other people, in a way that creates more division, or I'm right, you're wrong. It's like, you know,
mm,
there's something that just blossoms in a very organic and beautiful way, and it naturally is in service to others, and it naturally, you know lends, a helping hand, and it doesn't feel threatened if a person's afraid of you or they're not ready. And that's, I think, a lot of red flags that are showing up with people that are steering false narratives. You can't question me, and don't debate me, and don't question me, and how dare it's like, no, this is not what it's about right now. you know
that's
it's
right.
like, when
Yeah,
you resolve what you're struggling with and you step up, you're going to assist so many, and it's got a ripple effect. And however much you feel like being that resource and providing that for others is, dependent on, each soul and what your agreement is. But there's no service to self beings that I feel are on the healing path. Service to self is
yeah,
more instant gratification and me. This is what I want, and desire, even if it exploits you and hurts you along the way. It doesn't matter, because it's all about me. That's not healing, and that's not the healing path. That expires. That false light is going to begin to break down. And as much as technology might be able to keep it alive with a life cycle like AI, it eventually just burns out because it doesn't have a direct connect with source.
yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of like the meme that I saw. I think it was on Facebook, where there was a horse that was dragging a human behind him, and he said, "You can bring humans to a book, but you can't make them read." So I think that there's something to that. It's up to us to do for ourselves and others, and whoever else we help, they might go out and help some people, and those again might help people. So you're exactly right. It spreads like a, yeah, a bad word, but a virus. It just spreads.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yep. And so all these different tactics being used is to absolutely trick us out of something that is really, just people are like one breakthrough away from
yeah,
just recognizing, like, wow, okay, you don't have to go down that road. It's like,
yeah,
when you're devoted to your own healing process, you're going to you're gonna want the same for everybody around you, and there's gonna be a lot more love, compassion, forgiveness, and support,
Yeah,
mutual respect. And anything less is still in negative ego, still in old paradigm model of savior, victim, victimizer. And so yeah, just embrace the deprogramming. Nature, the cosmic intelligence
yeah,
is assisting us with all this. Breathe and just align and allow this to happen, and just catch yourself when you lose yourself to some of these other signals and distractions that are taking
yeah,
that vital energy to engineer a timeline that you do not need to be on. And so, yeah, my book
absolutely.
goes really into depth about all of that.
Yeah,
And
and that's another saying that I have, and that is that you will become like the people you associate with. You don't have to associate in person. People out there right now are associating with us. When you read somebody's book, you are associating with that person. Read their books, read their speeches, watch their videos, and you are associating with them. You learn from them, and you grow with them into what you think that you want to learn and be and become.
yeah, because you're just going to learn about yourself. It's like,
Yep.
like my book is attempting to just say, all you're really here to learn is about you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hear all the different ways that it's been very, very difficult, and all the different tactics, and how the planetary grid network has been infiltrated. And just like, yeah, we don't learn about that in school. So I was a kid that didn't
Yeah.
really pay attention in school, and I went off and discovered a whole bunch of other stuff. So that's a compilation of everything that came to
Yeah.
me, and so much from others, and it's just like, we're here just here to activate each other, and then you decide, what does your intuition tell you? You don't have to fix yourself to anything else but you. But allow the activation, allow what you learn and hear to ignite something in you to begin to really, really connect with. And then when
Yeah.
we all do that, and we're strong in our sovereignty, we can really come together in unity consciousness, and have um diversity and harmony be the true oneness.
Yeah. I know there was somebody that I don't remember who it was. He said something to the effect of that don't let your schooling get in the way of your learning.
Yeah.
So there's something to that too. And gosh, we are almost down to the end here. But show us that book again so we can see what it looks like, and tell us where they can go out and get it and get in
You can get
touch
this
with
on,
you.
yep, you can get this on Amazon. CosmicGaia.org is my website. I have a subscriber feature there, and I do discounted sessions. I do Zoom call, I do mini readings, um, and all sorts of things to just, help you to get to know yourself better, what kind of patternings you're working with, and help you move through, some of the sticky stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and just my personal journey, just a lot of the crazy
Yeah.
adventures that I've been on, and a lot about disclosure, and what I've learned along the way. And
Yeah.
yeah, and how the Mars recruitment, being targeted before birth, and what that was like, and what I discovered along the way, and how that was a very important thing to break free from, and what that alternative 3 agenda and timeline was all about, and just so much more. It's just, yeah, I've gotten incredible feedback. I'm glad that it's touched people. Um,
Yeah. That's
and
good. That is good.
yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming to join us. And I'll tell you, this was so deep and so interesting and so wonderful to talk with you. I miss Nori. She should have been here, and
Oh,
she just couldn't. But she
oh,
would have
sending
enjoyed this one too.
sending her a lot of love. And yeah, just remember, everybody, like this ether element, this 13th sign, what does that really mean? That we really are at a time where alchemy, transformation, and miracles are going to be more the norm instead of the anomaly.
Yeah, yeah. Soon the anomalies will become normal.
Yeah, because
I'm
yeah,
looking forward to that.
we're unlocking a lot, and awakening to so much more of all that we truly are. So
Yeah,
it's a really
yeah.
exciting time.
Yes, it is. And so thank you very much for being with us. And I'm sure we'll do this again sometime shortly.
Well, I always love to do stuff with you, Augie. Thanks for all your incredible work and all that you do. It's always
Yeah, and
wonderful.
thank you. I'm brewing on the roundtable conference again, so I want to talk to you about that.
Oh, sweet.
All
All right.
right.
Well, thank you.
Th- Thank you. We will talk to you later. And in the meantime,